We're back with you here on Gridiron to talk Red Hurricane Report with Larry Kelly, the star of the segment. Larry, the floor is yours.
Well, there's not much to say about this. Central Valley is one of the best teams, if not the best team in the WPIAL. Newcastle's playing a lot of young kids, and the score reflected it, 54-0. The keys to winning football games is, we talked about it week in and week out. You have to run the football, and you have to be able to stop the run. Central Valley ran the ball for over 300 yards. Newcastle's net rushing was 41 yards. So they didn't run it very well, and they didn't stop the run. And as a result, you have the 54-0 score. I guess if there's any silver lining, the quarterback, he was 7 for 12, Kyrell Harris, and threw for 73 yards. So, again, showing some progress from some young guys. Penalties again, 6 for 70 yards. It's just too many. Anytime, you have close to 100 yards in penalties, those are the types of mistakes that you would hope that as the season went on, you could kind of eliminate. But it's a young team, and they're playing some of the best teams in the WPIL. And when you have those kind of, I guess, mismatches, for lack of a better word, because Central Valley is loaded, playing against very, very young men, you get the result that you get, and the result wasn't surprising to anybody.
Yeah, that's a tough ask to take on a team like Central Valley. A couple things, Larry. I didn't notice the big errors that they would make, that they have been making. Just lining up off sides or those kind of mistakes. Probably the biggest mistake that I remember, and it was early in the game. I think it might have been with the score 7-0 or maybe scoreless. I can't remember if it was on a punt or a kickoff, but one of the guys for Newcastle got the ball near the sideline and just kind of went out of bounds. I don't know if he could stop his momentum from going out of bounds and turn it upfield, but it almost looked like he just kind of went out of bounds on his own. And then they had to start the drive on like the 15 or maybe even inside the 15. Just little things like that, making the field even longer for yourself against teams like that. You just can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, they're struggling. They're a young team, and young teams will make those types of mistakes. And I wasn't at the game, so I don't know if his momentum took him out of bounds or what. But I remember that maybe it was 3 years before Newcastle won the Whippeal Championship in 1998, actually, at the highest classification. I think 3 years before that, they were 0-10.
Wow.
And so therefore, you got these young men, you try to develop them, you try to build, and develop a culture, a competitive spirit. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not easy to do when you're getting beaten like this. But again, I'd have to go back and check the books. Newcastle was 0-10 a few years before they won the Whippeal Championship and beat North Allegheny in the Whippeal Championship game at Three River Stadium. So, you can't give up hope, and you got to keep working, and Stacey Robinson will do that. And it starts at the lowest levels, where you got to develop a Pop Warner program, a midget program, a junior high program, and start developing a culture. That's one of the things that I tried to do as the 9th grade basketball coach at Newcastle, was develop a culture of toughness, mental and physical toughness. And I used to tell, the players used to think I was tough. And I used to tell them, hey, boys, if you think I'm tough, I'm Cinderella compared to the guy that's waiting for you at the next level. So, you need to develop that culture. And that's, I think we did at Newcastle basketball. We developed it, that, there were certain things that were totally unacceptable, and we expected a certain level of laser focus and toughness each and every day, each and every practice. And if you do that, you can have good results.
The Canes go down to Montour, big Parkway matchup, because the Canes can't afford to lose too many more games in the conference. I believe right now they're 0-2 in league. And this week they're at Montour. They come home next week, I'm pretty sure, against Char Valley. And then Aliquippa awaits them. So really, you got to have this one. How big is this one for momentum and to keep their heads in it and keep a positive outlook as you come back home for next week against Char Valley?
You just want to be competitive, Ronnie. You don't have to win, but the last 2 games, the last 3 games, they've been outscored 200-14 or something like that. It's pretty difficult to continue to go to practice. Football's a tough sport, and when you're getting beat like this, it's even tougher. And it's pretty tough to go to practice with an edge every week, when you're not having success. So, let's be competitive next week. Let's eliminate some of the mistakes that we make. Let's try to develop a little bit of a ground game. Let's do the little things that help you be successful. And again, I think Coach Robinson is just looking for incremental improvement at this point. I don't think he's worrying about playoffs. I don't think he's worrying about anything like that. Can we improve incrementally in areas where we have struggled?
All right. Well, being that you referred to yourself as Cinderella, anything else that you would like to say about Newcastle?
That's all I have to say. Hopefully, again, I'm not giving up hope. I'm a Red Hurricane through and through. And as I said, you go back and check the records. Next week, we'll talk about it. It was 2, 3 to 4 years at the most that Newcastle High School was 0-10 before they won the Whippeal Championship at the highest classification, beating one of the powerhouses of the Whippeal, North Allegheny, beat them twice that year. So it can be done.
Growing up here was great. As a kid, you always felt safe and secure. Just about the only thing I didn't like growing up were bullies, especially when they picked on somebody smaller. That's why, as an attorney, I decided early on that I was going to fight for those people who couldn't fight for themselves. I could have gone to Pittsburgh and worked for the insurance companies, but to me, that would have been like siding with the bullies. And that's just not who I am. I'm Larry Kelly, and this is where I'm from.